Shri Srimad Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, ISKCON BBT, founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopina Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Raj Govardhana ki jai, Vrindavan Mathura Dhama ki jai, Mayapur Navadyudhama ki jai, Shri Jagannath Puri Dhama ki jai, Shri Ayodhya Dhama ki jai, Ganga Maya ki jai, Yamuna Maya ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai, Shri Harinama Sankirtan Yagna ki jai, Transcendental Prasadam Distribution ki jai, Cow Protection ki jai, New Govardhana Farm Community ki jai. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guru. Oh, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 3, Text 15. The chapter is called The Lord's Pastimes at Vrindavan. Mito yada shambhavita vivado.
Mito yada shambhavita vivado.
Mito yada shambhavita vivado.
Mito yada shambhavita vivado.
Mad amada tantra vilochana. Nasham vatopaya yanatonyo. Mai udyate nrita tatte swayam smaha. Mito yada shambhavita vivado. Mad amada tantra vilochananam. Nasham vadopaya yanatonyo. Mai udyate nrita tatte swayam smaha. Mito yada shambhavita vivado. Madhvamada tamra vilochananam. Nasham vadopaya yanatonyo. Mai udyate nrita tatte swayam smaha. Mitaha, one another, yatha, when, esham, of them, bhavita, will take place, vivadaha, quarrel, madhu amada, intoxication by drinking, atamra vilochananam, of the eyes being copper red, not, esham, of them, vada upayaha, means of disappearance, iyam, like this, ataha, besides this, anyaha, alternative, mai, on my, udyate, disappearance, Antahata will disappear. Swayam themselves. Sma certainly. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When they quarrel among themselves, influenced by intoxication, with their eyes red like copper because of drinking, then only will it disappear. Otherwise, it will not be possible. On my disappearance, this incident will take place. When they quarrel among themselves, influenced by intoxication, with their eyes red like copper, because of drinking, then only will disappear. Otherwise, it will not be possible. On my disappearance, this incident will take place. The Lord and His associates appear and disappear by the will of the Lord. They are not subjected to the laws of material nature. No one was able to kill the family of the Lord. Nor was there any possibility of their natural death by the laws of nature. The only means, therefore, for their disappearance was the make show of a fight among themselves, as if rolling in intoxication due to drinking. That so-called fighting would also take place by the will of the Lord. Otherwise, there would be no cause for their fighting. Just as Arjuna was made to be illusioned by family affection, and thus the Bhagavad Gita was spoken, so the Yadu dynasty was made to be intoxicated by the will of the Lord, and nothing more. The devotees and associates of the Lord are completely surrendered souls. Thus they are transcendental instruments in the hands of the Lord, can be used in any way the Lord desires. The pure devotees also enjoy such pastimes of the Lord because they want to see Him happy. The devotees of the Lord never assert independent individuality. On the contrary, they utilize the individuality in pursuit of the desires of the Lord. And this cooperation of the devotees with the Lord makes a perfect scene of the Lord's pastimes. The verse again. When they quarrel among themselves, influenced by intoxication, with their eyes red like copper because of drinking, then only will they disappear. Otherwise, it will not be possible. On my disappearance, this incident will take place. So we continue the chapter. This is a very exalted topic because Krishna's pastimes are unlimited and they take unlimited shape and form, just like we have now the Modarastaka, which is really the month of Radhika, Srimad Bhagavatam. And this whole Vrindavan mood, and its sweetness. It's about giving pleasure to the divine couple, Radha and Krishna, the ultimately served receivers of all pleasure. And Krishna sets the scene by his yoga maya, transcendental potencies, And great personalities, great devotees, descend in this material world to facilitate Krishna's pastimes. As Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, they are so surrendered that they're willing to do anything for Krishna. They're willing to come to the material world and experience the dualities, happiness and distress, and even play with Krishna in a fighting scene, just like Jai Vijay came down by Krishna's Yoga Maya. Arjuna was covered over, asking very relevant questions that touches everyone's lives. And Krishna offers perfect answers, perfect questions and perfect answers. And you see the whole scene of Battlefield of Kurukshetra, all great personalities, whether with the Yadus or the Kauravas, they all taking part and agreed to play the pastimes along with Krishna. And as Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, actually they, or even reads very well, just as Arjuna was made to be illusioned by family affection, thus the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So the Yadu dynasty was made to be intoxicated by the will of the Lord and nothing more. The devotees and associates of the Lord are completely surrendered souls. Thus they are transcendental instruments in the hands of the Lord and can use in any way the Lord desires. So, very important philosophical statements here. The purport is very short but very deep and concentrated, showing us and clarifying that Krishna's arrangement, Krishna's pastimes are not just accidental or just circumstantial. There were some demons and envious persons. It appears to be that way, but all these personalities were devotees of Krishna, just playing the part of an enemy or the opposition. And Krishna also fulfilled his own tendencies, because he's a supreme divine, he's a supreme personality of Godhead, and he also likes to play. But when he plays extraordinary, something out of this world, out of this three-dimension. The material world is limited, and the living entities here, they have their own journey. So, why we have this journey? Because we wanted to experience a reality which appears to be separate from Krishna. Actually, nothing is separate from Krishna. We can see in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna explained that the whole material world is under his direction, you see. And the living entities are fragmented parts of him, the Supreme. So we also divine by nature, but the difficulty is that we are dependent, we are minute, we are dependent on the Supreme Lord, we are God's particles. Therefore we surrender our lives with devotion to Krishna, because this is the actual connection with him. We're depending on him, just like the mother and the baby. The baby depends on the mother. There's a natural affection there, unquestionable affection. This is one of the closest things we can bring in the material world. The closest example to loving Krishna, and the mother and the baby, that natural, spontaneous, unconditional love. So that's how pure devotee feels for Krishna, and Krishna feels for his devotee. Very pure, honorable, no selfish intention. So this is the aim of the devotees, especially the sadhakas who are beginners in spiritual life. They aim to the topmost love and devotion. It's a gradual process. We cannot imitate. This is not a sentimental thing. It's a scientific process. Step by step, we raise our consciousness and our awareness and the purity of our consciousness, which culminates in actual love and devotion, prema. So these beautiful pastimes of Krishna, just like Damodara, it's a time to awaken that dormant love within us. Love is there, we just have to purify it gradually, patiently, chanting the holy names of Shri Krishna, Radha and Krishna, and meditate and remember the pastimes. These are very uplifting and inspiring, very sweet. When you read these beautiful pastimes of Damodar, Mother Yasoda, this is an incredible mood of Vrindavan. We call it Vatsalya Ras. It's the parenthood, the expression of love for child Krishna. And everything's around Krishna, Kana, the little boy, who's none different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he plays all these interaction and lila with his devotees. He appears to be depending on Mother Yasoda, and she chastising him. And Krishna enjoys this interaction with his devotees. So this is a very special time, especially in Vrindavan. And this is also Vrindavan. This is the representation of Vrindavan. This is like the embassy of Vrindavan. So we're also in the right place. But if you have the chance to visit Vrindavan in the future, you can take shelter of Sadhu Sangha, hear about these beautiful pastimes. We go Parikrams, we see Govardhan Hill, Shamakun, Radhakun, Varsana, Talavan, all these beautiful Nantagram. As I mentioned, all these names, all these pastimes appear. Because these actually to help us to create that sweet feelings for Krishna. These pastimes are not just for his pleasure, but for the devotee's pleasure. Because, we practice Krishna consciousness, and it appears to be mechanical. We follow rules and regulations, and it is a must. We don't have to follow rules and regulations. So this love will gradually blossoms, see? Just like when you have a little garden, you have to water, you have to give some fertilizer and sunshine, and you have to give all the ingredients to blossom, and the result will be very satisfying. So many good things, beautiful things, pleasing to the eyes, pleasing to the senses. Same with Krishna consciousness. We just have to apply it carefully, attentively, and consciously. So we have to understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and practice. And this pure, spontaneous, unalloyed devotion will rise and blossoms. And loving Krishna, serving Krishna, we are very spontaneous. And in one way, very easy because we love Krishna. So this is the real goal of a sadhaka, the voice of practicing sadhana. Under the guidance of great teachers, spiritual masters, authority scriptures, and the mercy of Lord God. Because the sadhakas are blessed by the mercy of Lord God. We follow the process given by Guru and Gauranga. And by their mercy, we go gradually. It's an individual journey. It depends on how we apply it. And how sincere we are in Krishna consciousness. So this is, we all have to work on this individually and collectively. So make this community very vibrant and focused, and understand the objective, what we are trying to do. So this is actually the ecstatic atmosphere and happiness of the world will manifest also. Because Krishna consciousness is actually a very blissful experience. And it's so blissful that it can rise above the mental platform. In the beginning, because we are just discovering things, we're learning the mechanics of devotional service. So it's a bit difficult to see what is Krishna consciousness and what is not Krishna consciousness. Because it's a very subtle thing. It's a very fine line how we advance in Krishna consciousness. And Therefore, sincere students consult the advanced devotees, consult the spiritual master, for specific guidelines, because we can get sidetracked easily. Our love is not so mature yet. We have to mature our love. We have to take shelter of the process patiently, and then we get all the mercy, all the help. Krishna helps those who help themselves. And at some level, this will be a very natural process. We just want to please Krishna, cook for Krishna, dress Krishna, be with them in Leela pastimes. So the Vatsalya rasa is one of the sweetest rasa because it's Krishna agrees to be depending on the parents, Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda, and his devotees, the cowed boys, cowed girls, the cows. And so, I guess it's like when you driving a cart, the bullock cart, or usually the cows and bulls in front of us. See? But in Krishna's pastimes, Krishna is in front of the cows. Because the cows won't move unless they see Krishna. So here we have to allow the cows and bulls go forward and we pull the cart. But in Krishna's pastimes, the opposite. Krishna is at the front, and they all follow Krishna. Everyone is attracted to Krishna. Everyone loves Krishna. It's something that's difficult for us to fully comprehend because this is something completely spiritual, completely on the platform of transcendental dimension. Every living entity, every object in the spiritual world is conscious of Krishna. And not only conscious of Krishna, they have this unalloyed devotion. Even the blade of grass, the cows, the mountains, the trees, they all glorify Krishna. Wherever Krishna goes in the forest, everyone sings his glories. That kind of devotion they have. Everyone loves Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that great personalities, not only in Vraja Lila, but even in Vaikuntha, real, they're willing to agree. They're willing to come down in the material world and play these pastimes just to please Krishna. They're very happy, even if they have to play the enemy, the role of the enemy. So which is, appears to be difficult to comprehend that in the material consciousness of the whole. Krishna's devotees playing like an enemy of Krishna. Just like Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, they actually were great devotees. They just had to play that role in this life, on that life, to satisfy Krishna's desire to fight. And when Krishna does all these things, he's also teaching things, teaching us, reveals the transcendental scriptures, the shastras, giving us directions, and sets the sampradayas, the parampara. So Krishna comes for many reasons. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to enjoy his own lila and also to experience something extraordinary, divine pastimes and divine emotions, like feeling of the emotions of Radharani and the pure devotion of Srimati Radharani, the Mahabhava. So, and then also comes to deliver and liberate the whole universe by his transcendental message and introducing the Shri Harinama Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names of Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, there's a beautiful verse in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam where Vyasadeva, in a particular context, explains a solution for this age, Kali Yuga, which is a very difficult age according to Vedic calculations. Very troublesome. You can see the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. There's so much quarrel going on individually within our hearts and emotions, not to speak of externally, individually and collectively. In every way there is misunderstanding, quarreling, fighting. You can see wars, so much problem in every level. This is just the tendency of this age. It's not very advanced. Because God consciousness is not as real anymore, only superficial, not real God consciousness. God consciousness means to be on the platform of love, really, devotion. So, Vyasadeva explains that those who have sufficient intelligence in this day and age, in this Kali Yuga, they will participate in the congregation chanting of the holy names of Krishna. So those are actually endowed with intelligence, true intelligence, more than just inner intelligence also. They take shelter of the chanting of the holy names of Krishna, especially the congregational Sankirtana Yagna. It's the fire of Sankirtana Yagna, which takes shapes in many forms. Any service we can do in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we are participating in that yagna. And wherever we can fit in, offer some humble, sincere service to Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, then that's not only for our eternal benefit, but for the benefit of others also. The true purpose of this movement, to do good to others, to help others, to enlighten them, have an impact on them, somehow or other, create peace, happiness, and love. True. So there are many forms of Sankirtan, we call it. And obviously there's some prime activities, very direct preaching activities, for example, Sri Harinama Sankirtan, distributing literature, transcendental literature, distributing prasadam, very effective forms, because this is an initial contact with the jivas, giving them an opportunity. And this is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recognizes our effort also. We are assisting our spiritual master, and the mission of Guru, teacher, is to help others, to bring them closer to Krishna, and create happiness and peace in this world, really. Because without Krishna consciousness, no one can be happy. Srila Prabhupada made this statement many times. There's no question of happiness without Krishna consciousness. Because we are on the material platform, bodily conception of life, false ego. When this problem is there, you cannot really have peace and agreement. It will be always problems. Because we focus on the differences. But in the spiritual platform, we see the unity in diversity. We see the purity of things, the essence of things. And this is when the beautiful process of Krishna consciousness will help, individually and collectively. Should never give up, never. Always take shelter of Krishna consciousness. If there's any difficulty, individually and collectively, let's consult advanced devotees, take shelter of them. Not to be, ask questions and wait for answers. Otherwise, we may get sidetracked. Because unless we are completely pure, there's a possibility of falling back to the lower modes of body nature. Sadhakas have to make sure that they can remain on the platform of sattva guna, moral goodness. So we can think clearly, make confident decision. I'm going to be a devotee the rest of my life. And I'm going to serve the cows, serve Srila Prabhupada's mission, serve the Vaishnavas, distribute literature, distribute prasadam, dedicate myself some services. And this is when we actually gradually, as I said earlier, we come to the platform of loving devotion, pure loving devotion to Krishna. This is when that love will manifest, live in our heart. And there will be some kind of attraction that even people feel. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, purity is the force, especially for preachers. Because when we preach Krishna consciousness, If we have a good sadhana, the Shravana, Kirtanam, Smaranam, if we remember the pastimes of Krishna, then we will have an impact on these people, on these jivas out there. And we can bring them closer to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, bring them closer to the beautiful pastimes of Krishna. So it's a very beautiful, sublime process. And Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, the great devotees agree because they have nothing to hide, there's nothing to hold back. They're just giving themselves to Krishna, self-surrender. They're giving their whole life, Atma Nivedana, which is one of the last ultimate item, anga of devotional service. The 9 angas, Prahlad Maharaj explains. The most important, what is the most important? Yes, Shravana Kirtanam and Smaranam, especially in the month of Damodar. We remember. Smaranam means remembrance, remembering the pastimes. So we remember. Let's remember these beautiful pastimes. It's not just offering some candle or just offering some candle. Everything has a meaning and significance. It's just to help us to remember this beautiful interaction. There's so many literatures now. We can read about pastimes of Damodar, but the best is Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book, The Nectar of Devotion, because Srila Prabhupada gives us the essence of all these pastimes, the sweetness of Krishna. And as we know, we have a different relationship with Krishna, different devotees, some more in the neutral rasa, and some more in the Vatsalya rasa, friendship, parenthood, and then Madhurya, conjugate, like a very close, intimate relationship. So Krishna enjoys all these with his devotees according to their desires. In the Vaikuntha realm, we all know Lord Narayana, Lakshmi Narayana, and the devotees worshiping with awe and reverence, with that kind of, pomp, like a great king and queen. But in Vrindavan, very different actually. And Krishna just behaves like one of the cowboys, plays with the cow like a village boy, which is, for ordinary mind is amazing because God himself plays in the village with the cows and like Krishna Balaram, they're chasing the cows, teenage boys, and eat the blood. So, very sweet pastimes. But we have to have a very pure heart to appreciate this and love these pastimes. So, therefore we chant Shravana Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. So when we chant, we also hear. And this Bhagavatam, for example, it is like recorded chantings. When we read this Bhagavatam, the purports, and the Devanagari, the Sanskrit, we also hearing the chanting, basically, hearing and chanting. Because this is actually spoken, sung by great rishis, Parishit Maharaj, hearing, and Sukadeva Goswami gives the Raghunatha truth, the very essence of these teachings to Parishit Maharaj, and it's passed on gradually to the present day. We are sitting here reading these beautiful purports, transcendental, beyond words, and day by day, with sincere devotion, you can realize these pages gradually. Not artificially, not superficially, but patiently, we do our best, and depending on Krishna for that realization and inspiration. So, for example, like one good example that Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, that often Krishna has a plan, so he requests his devotees to accept a particular role. And just like Arjuna, who was already a most confidential devotee, intimate friend of Krishna. So he doesn't have to ask questions about life and about himself, about the body, about his external circumstances. But Krishna covered him over with his yoga maya potencies, so he can ask these questions from him. So So the whole Bhagavad Gita is a divine dialogue between his intimate friend, confidential friend, Arjuna, and Krishna. Krishna explains. Because we have these questions, and we have to have questions. Because we are all living souls, conscious beings, and we have to know why we are in this material world, why we are suffering, what's the purpose of life, where are we going? These are basic questions everyone should ask if he claims to be civilized. Civilized person, they want to know, they seek solutions. And Krishna consciousness is the ultimate solution. And Krishna just confirms it in the Bhagavad Gita. Gita means songs. So Krishna sung the Bhagavad Gita. Very beautiful. So these great personalities, they agree to come and facilitate Krishna's pastimes. And they're happy and they're pleased because Krishna is pleased. So they take any role. So we of course, we relish these pastimes. We may not always understand the transcendental nature of these pastimes, but we just appreciate the beautiful activities of Krishna and the sweet interaction. There's so much literature on it. We may not even understand many of them. Like Jiva Goswami compiled 400,000 slokas on the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Many, many beautiful literatures. Gopal Champu is actually very deep in the pastimes of Krishna. And Raghunath Das Goswami compiled the Garga Samhita, which is a very deep, exalted literature on the pastimes of Giri Govardhan, Rajabhumi Dan, pastimes of Radha and Krishna, who Krishna is, who Radha is, and his beautiful interactions. So there's so much literature on this. But of course, we always go through Guru and Gauranga. We don't jump prematurely into these literatures because they're very exalted, difficult for us to understand. Many of these literatures meant for liberated souls. We just go through the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada gives us the essence, he gives us the inspiration and knowledge, and the scientific analysis of these literatures. Because God is real, and we have to understand His position. And why He made these beautiful pastimes, because divine lila, divine pastimes. What is the actual purpose behind them? So this is what I can say about the short report. Any questions? Or comments?
I do have one question. Yes. In the little literature, it's described, well, I think it's in the little literature, as mentioned, that Srila Prabhupada said that he didn't actually have any questions for his spiritual masters. So it's kind of like a little bit contradictory. On one hand, we know we should be asking questions.
Yes.
But of course,
okay. See, a very good question. Thank you. You see, very obviously speaking about someone who's already a liberated soul in disguise. So Srila Prabhupada, they're very advanced devotee, can already understand the mind of his spiritual master. His desires. They don't have to ask what to do, what not to do. He knows what to do. So Prabhupada knew exactly what to do. And for us, because we still just, like I said, we're discovering the mechanics of devotional service, like a sadhana. We are sadhakas, we hear about Krishna. So we have to ask questions, because otherwise we're bewildered. You know, our minds filled with all kinds of impressions, samskaras from our past. And even in this life, you see, we're coming through a culture which is really godless, a godless civilization. So we have to kind of rise above these illusions of this world. And the spiritual master can clarify these things for us, make it very clear, distinguishes, okay, this is reality, this is illusion. So that's why we humbly submit questions. like I said, Arjuna didn't have to ask this question, but Krishna had to put him into yoga maya, see, a temporary illusion. So Arjuna can get a bit bewildered by the externals and get confused about, oh, why should I fight my grandfather, my teachers, and see? But Krishna could answer these things while he was in perplexity. So in the material world, everyone's in perplexity, whether we realize it or not, because we are confused here. Therefore, Krishna and the spiritual master, his pure representative, gives clarification and hope and determination and desire to actually advance in Krishna consciousness. But someone's very advanced and very close to the spiritual master. They already know the answers. They understand the mood and the desire of the spiritual master. They didn't have to ask so much of a question because they already understand it. So Srila Prabhupada, he could understand right away the intention. So obviously the good disciple understand the mood, just like husband and wife. They understand each other, and they understand each other's, nature, and they work accordingly. See, they don't have to always ask questions. Often they don't even speak; they already understand each other. See, so same with a disciple of the spiritual master. They understand his mood and his desires and his projection. So this is a very intimate dealings with the spiritual master within our hearts. So today, today's the appearance day of Sri Virabhadra Acharya, who was actually, I just give a couple short. So he was actually the direct son of Lord Nityananda. And Srila Prabhupada gives a short purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita, referring to Srila Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami Anubhasya. And Nityananda Prabhu and his wife Janavi was a spiritual master of Virabhadra. So you can see that great personalities, great mother, Janavi Mata, she became the spiritual master of Sri Virabhadra Acharya. He was a very exalted personality, and he was actually Kishoraya Vishnu in a human form, just to be part of that lila. You see, he's speaking about great personalities take birth in Krishna's pastimes. But sometimes Krishna in his various tattvas, like Vishnu tattvas, come. In this case, Kishoraya Vishnu, which is the Paramatma within the heart. He manifested in a human form and is known as Virabhadra, the son of Lord Nityananda. And his spiritual master was Janavi Mata. And so, they facilitated Mahaprabhu's pastimes. And this line actually started coming down even now. There's kind of a lineage coming down from Virabhadra. But some of it deviated, so not all authentic. So obviously we follow the Seta Sampradaya, which is coming down from Brahma, Madhya, Gaudiya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and coming down to the present day, Srila Prabhupada, and the representations, his representatives. So we follow an authentic lineage because Sampradaya. But there are family bloodlines, just like Gopal Bhatta Goswami was one of the 6 Goswamis, and his family members are still alive. I mean, the descendants, the bloodline is still there. And they're managing the temple in Vrindavan, Radharanam. And so some very kind of authentic and undeviated connection also with talk about the bloodline, family dynasty coming down to the present day. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami was one of the most prominent 6 Goswamis who established the Radharaman Temple, and he compiled the Sri Harina, Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is a Gaudiya Vaishnava interpretation of Pancharatrika Vidi, Narada Pancharatra, which is like the instructions and the guidelines and the guidebook how to advance your spiritual life, and certain formalities, rituals, sanskaras, how to rise above the lower modes and engage in remedial activities, moral goodness, and certain guidelines, how to become and how to come to the platform of worshipping the Lord. So there's certain guidelines, rituals, guidelines, sanskaras. So they're very beautiful treatises on this. So the great personalities coming down. So Veerabhadra is one of the, and he has descendants, family descendants. So he's one of the most prominent devotees of Ram Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. And there's a very, actually I don't read the whole thing now, but there's, if you want to follow Veerabhadra, it's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adhyaya 11:8, verse 8. After Nityananda Prabhu, the greatest branch is Veerabhadra Goswami, who also has innumerable branches and sub-branches. It is not possible to describe them all. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhasya, Veerabhadra Goswami was a direct son of Sri Nityananda Prabhu and a disciple of Janavadevi. His real mother was Vasudha. In the Gaudiya Gamodesha Dipika, he is mentioned as an incarnation of Krishnadaya Shri Vishnu. Therefore, Veerabhadra Goswami is no different from Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In a village of the name Jamatapura, in the district of Hagli, Veerabhadra Goswami had a disciple named Yadunath Acharya, who had 2 daughters, a real daughter named Shrimati and a foster daughter named Narayani. So it just explains this pastime there, earthly pastimes, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj gives a little more elaboration, more detail in his Anubhasya. Anubhasya is a work on great acharyas and philosophical statements. So that's beautiful. More information in Chaitanya Charitamrita if I want to follow them up. So, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Antaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.